welcome Michael Sussman, CEO of Sussman Corporate Security, to the Canadian edition of Kevjet the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you.
Did I get that
Nice
right?
to be here. You did get it right, and very excited to have this discussion with you. A virtual coffee
It's a virtual beverage,
beverage. Good.
just
Super.
like we're in the pub. I'm excited to have this conversation because I feel that you are very enthusiastic about being involved with Canada Day London.
Yes, I am. And should I answer?
Yeah, why? What?
I didn't give you
Where
a
does that?
chance to ask
No.
me the question.
Where does the
I didn't.
enthusiasm come from? Why are you so excited about this?
It's a good question. And tell me if I get into too many details. I'll try to give a high level discussion. I've lived around the world, very much am a global citizen. I've lived in a lot of different countries, and uh, I'm very proud of where I come from, which is in Canada. I think, for myself, my Canadian identity and Canadian values have been a very big contributor to my success on the world stage. And, on another level, I think that relations between people and between countries are very important. And I think positive relations are also important. So for me, Canada Day in London is the culmination of all that. And I think that it's a nice positive opportunity for not only Canada to showcase who it is on the world stage, because very much Trafalgar Square is, but also really to solidify and show it's an expression of Canada and the UK's relationship. So for me, it's a really positive event, but it's also a very important event.
It's in an iconic venue, if you want to call it a venue. Canada House on one side, you're in Trafalgar Square. It's just stunning.
Yes, yes. It is stunning. And the Canada House, which is the name of the Canadian embassy there, is really in a marvelous building. And it's across the street. And is it the British Museum or the British Art Gallery, National Gallery?
The National Gallery.
Yeah, is right across. And it really, it most certainly is. And yes, it's really, it's such an honor to be a part of something like that.
So, how do you fit into this whole event? Where do you come in with security?
Yeah, it's a good question. So our company is Canadian. We're global. We have offices, around the world. And again, like I said, in business, our Canadian identity really carries a lot of weight. On a personal note, my very close friend was the former chairman of Canada Day and the former ambassador, Marcy Grossman. And she was the one that introduced me, but it very much aligns with my values. And that's something where, yes, I became involved and very proud to support it.
Amazing. I love Marcy, by the way. Hi, Marcy.
Good. Hi, Marcy. Yeah, exactly.
What's involved with your planning with the event?
Yeah, so I think for us, what we want is just for everyone to have a good time. I think for myself, I see myself as a partner and my company as a partner in that, you know, this sort of Canada Day London at least was restarted because it used to occur and then there was a bit of a hiatus and it was restarted 2 years ago. And to see the evolution where it really was quite amazing the first year with food tents and events and vendors and all sorts of different activities to last year when the NHL came and in the Canadian Canada House there was lots of events. Like to me the execution of it is really important. So my involvement really is I see myself as a partner and trying to with the rainmaker that planet and Canada Day worldwide really try to make sure that every year it's as good as possible, and by good as possible I mean as fun as possible, because that's really what the event is about. And again, from my perspective, the more enjoyable that it is for people, the more successful the event is. And I think that we can see that. I mean, there's really great, I didn't even know what these were called, but like they're called activations. Really, it's like games and boot. I mean, it's just getting better and better. And again, it's not to say it matters if it's the NHL or who, it's the fact that it's evolving and it's becoming more solidified. And for me, what that means is that the relations between people, countries is also. So for me, my involvement and I guess our level of planning is really just being as supportive as possible. And we sponsor every year the VIP tent. It's really there's all sorts of different food and people and so forth that come through, and that's really nice. So yeah.
Do you have a favorite memory? This is going to be your third year. So do you have your a favorite memory from the past 2 years that stands out?
I'll be honest, I like to look at things holistically. And for me, really, the combination of how everything turns out is what makes me proud. Is I never really know what to expect because while I call myself a partner, I'm not the guy in the weeds. Our company is a sponsor and we will and we do get, involved. But for me, seeing it all together and being there is what makes it really meaningful because again it's just such a nice positive thing and to see it all together and to see all the people and I don't know how many tens of thousands of people were there last year dancing to Canadian music. I have some friends come and some of our clients come and seeing them with their kids and with their parents and eating and drinking and socializing, to me, that's what it's all about. And I'll say that as, you know, my business does corporate security, and probably for us, good relations is so important to security. And I would say on the international stage, with everything that goes on in the world, I think that as individuals, if we treat each other kindly, this is the way that we're going to solve a lot of problems. Positive types of engagements like this are ways that, this will occur. So for me, even in terms of my life's mission, all of that is sort of the pride that comes through for being a sponsor of an event like this.
I love inviting my friends who live here in London and they aren't Canadian. They're from all over other countries and they come into the square on the day and at the end of the night they tell me we've had such a great time and our family had such a great time and our friends had a great time and so they discover kind of what it's like to be Canadian for that few hours and they decide to go travel to Canada after that because there's so many different tents and they can visit like the Air Canada tent or they learn about Terry Fox, and there's all those things that we take for granted, but they're learning for the first time, and I love that experience.
I think that that's a really great point, and it's something that I also notice, which is how distinctive and diverse people are. And I think that also really feeds into Canada. And I do think for sure people become exposed to Canadians. And, I think Canada in general has a reputation of being kind and polite and so forth. But I think that the event is certainly a way where people can experience how that manifests itself. And for sure, what's unique about it is that diversity of people coming from all over who do live in London. It kind of is like Canada's mosaic. And it's not like so much this is our culture, come and learn what we do, as much as you're a part of it because we are a diverse nation. And again, I think that's something so unique. And I think that's a really great point in terms of one of the attributes of this type of an event.
Definitely. What's your favorite part about being Canadian?
I have to say, I think it's the values. We do business around the world. And for me, the Canadian values that I lived with, that I grew up with, are really something that I cherish. I think it's so unique. I think that there is a degree of empathy and for others and a degree of honesty and straightforwardness and a certain level of quality, even in terms of, if I just relate it to my, to my career that exists in Canada that is, I think, very unique to Canada. So for me, those values are what are really important. And I mean, like everyone, my family in Canada are immigrants. My grandparents' parents actually moved over. But I spoke years ago at Canada House about business values, and I said that the lessons that I learned at the kitchen table growing up, not my university degrees, not my subsequent experience, those, in my opinion, are the things that have carried me forward because what I learned is and I saw and observed is being honest and straightforward with people is probably one of the biggest things that's helped me drive my life forward. And those are things that I learned just by being Canadian. So the values.
I can relate to that 100%. Very well said.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I'm proud of it. So thank you.
Say, so
Glad
am
that you
I.
can relate.
What are you most looking forward to this year?
I'm actually looking forward to seeing how much better it's going to be. And I hope it's not putting pressure on the, Canada Day team. But again, it's just every year it's getting better. And it means the event is becoming more mature. And the event at Canada House before where people come and speak and there's a reception and so forth, and the festival afterwards. And I'm just looking forward to seeing that because to me, it means that it's becoming entrenched. And as I've said, it's not about the festival, it's about what it represents. And it means that that manifestation is becoming real and becoming solidified. So it means that this wasn't really just a 1 year sort of experiment, is that this is actually happening and that between the UK and Canada and that relationship reaching sort of people is becoming more and more, yeah.
It's a beautiful thing, and I myself am so proud to be part of it. So I hope that shows when people turn up into the square during the day, the hard work that's gone behind the planning, because the whole team worked their butts off for months and months and months, like year round practically. And if it wasn't for some of those people, this event wouldn't happen.
For sure. Are you going to come to the VIP tent?
Of course I am.
Yeah, good. Well, that will be fun, and maybe we can have something Canadian to eat.
Definitely.
So,
I will be
yeah,
there. I will be there. Cool. I'm looking forward to it because I think it's a bit different to last year's tent. So
excellent.
I'm
Well,
looking forward to the plans.
me too. Super.
We can just move on to some fun quick fire questions and see what
Sure.
you've got. If animals could talk, which would be the most sarcastic?
Probably monkeys.
Probably. You're right. What's the weirdest thing you've ever done to impress somebody?
So, I've probably done a lot of weird things, but never to impress. Just that, I kind of, but I think that my life has been kind of a little bit unusual. So I will think about that one and tell you on Canada Day.
I have so many questions to ask you, but off the record. So I'm gonna write.
Okay.
I'm gonna.
Well,
I'm gonna make notes.
everything can be on the record. I just, I'm not that quick about thinking about something unusual, but probably like I probably do every day like dozens of unusual things. So I have to try to sift through it and pick out the right one.
If you had to wear a warning label, what would it say?
It would say, wears his personality or heart on his sleeve.
That's not a
Says
bad.
what he thinks.
Not a bad warning label.
Well, it depends.
What's your spirit vegetable and why?
I don't know what that means, but I will probably say celery just because it feels like a vegetable that is full of life.
Love it. What's the funniest name you can think of for a pet rock?
Precipitous.
Bad. That was quick.
Yeah, I don't even know what that means, but I just came to my head. So it's rapid fire.
What's your go-to excuse for being late that you know is totally absurd?
I actually always try to be early. You know what? I wouldn't make up an excuse. I would just come clean and say, I'm really sorry I dropped the ball.
Amazing. That's very Canadian.
Yeah. Well, you see, exactly. Canadian values.
If you could create a new color, what would you name it?
Turquoise.
Again,
Not
that was
that
very
creative.
that was very quick though.
Okay, good.
What would you title your autobiography if it was written by a toddler?
Success through failure.
Not bad. What's the most bizarre thing you've ever seen someone do in public? And I'm guessing it
Again.
probably was in London.
Well, I don't know. So you know what? These ones I can't answer, but I'll think of it and I'm gonna write it down and I'll tell you on Canada Day.
If you could turn any mundane activity into a competitive sport, what would it be?
Relaxing. Who can relax better? Like when kids have staring contests,
I would
kind of like
fail.
that,
I would
but
fail. I don't relax. I can't relax. I would be
no.
horrible at that. But no, that's great. That'd be a great sport.
Yep,
Do you follow Canadian sports?
I do.
And who are you rooting for at the moment?
So it's a very good question because I've just become, I guess you would say, re in love with hockey. And although I grew up in Toronto, and probably if I tell you this, they may not allow me to land at Pearson Airport anymore, I would say that I'm a Flames fan.
Ooh,
Yes,
controversial.
yes.
My in-laws were just here and they were in from Ontario and they were rooting for the Leafs the whole time. They were checking what was happening back home.
Yes.
It's oblivious to me because obviously I'm in London and I don't follow it anyway. But I was every morning I was looking forward to what they had their commentary on what happened the night before. So,
Yeah, nice. Hockey's important, but I'm actually looking forward this year to following the CFL. And maybe I'm going to choose another team like the BC Lions
ooh.
or the Hamilton Tiger Cats.
My mom is from Hamilton.
Wow. So you grew up in Halifax, but you rooted for Hamilton.
My mom always has, and I think I would probably have relatives who work for the football team, but that was always a common name in my house.
Wow. Well, that's cool.
Yeah, so maybe you should root for them.
Yeah, well, maybe I'll see. I get to pick.
It was lovely chatting with you, and I
Thank you very much.
can't wait for Canada Day.
Well, I'll be ready.
Perfect. Thanks for your time, Michael.
Thank you very much.